Well, the one thing I'd say about people here is it's funny because you live basically in a paradise, in my opinion. People still seem to have a reason to complain all the time. It's like it's nonstop. So I find that very funny because that's one thing I do in the morning when I wake up is also, I'll meditate frequently, but I'll just think about what do I have to be grateful for? And there's so much. So I don't think there's any reason to be negative. Of course, we have traffic problems. So the mentality of people here relative to the UK or other places, I think basically I know a lot more people here that are retired or semi-retired. So they probably have more time to think about what's going on politically than others. So they probably have more of an opinion. Yeah, I think people who I'm seeing in the UK, for instance, where I do spend time, they're just busy.
Welcome to the Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. We are here in Phuket, Thailand, and we're bringing on an absolute legend of a guest. He's a scratch golfer. We got Kelly McKenney coming on. He is a retired expat living here in Phuket, Thailand, and he's going to be telling you his life story, but more specifically that lifestyle of living in Phuket, especially how it's getting so congested. So what are they actually doing here with his wife, Desi? Now, we couldn't get Desi on, but hopefully we get enough comments, and you guys, we can push to get her on one day, maybe in Hua Hin. So, without further ado, let's get this podcast started with Kelly. Okay, first, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we only do one intro. If I fuck it up, I don't care. So, that's it. This is the podcast. We're hammering out podcasts before we get out of here. Just to give a quick intro to yourself, can you let everyone know where you're from and what really brought you to Phuket?
Okay. From Canada originally, born in a city called Kingston, Ontario, between Montreal and Toronto. Grew up in different parts of Canada. Ended up doing an MBA at McGill University, and at that point decided, this was 1991 I graduated, decided that Canada probably didn't have a huge future for what I wanted to do, which was financial markets, and I ended up going to Europe. I spent 6 years in France, working in banks, and then I was transferred to London after 6 years. I spent 15 years there, once again working in banks, and then financial services, financial technology, etc. And 2012, I guess, my boss said to me, "How would you like to go and run our sales team in Asia?" I was like, "Asia? Never been." So he sort of offered me Hong Kong or Singapore. And he said, Hong Kong's probably a better place for you. And I thought, okay, give it a go. So my kids had sort of grown up. I still had one at finishing high school. And I said, why not? We'll give it a go. So we ended up in Hong Kong, 2012. And, for people who've been to Asia, you either love it or you hate it. And I think once you're here, you kind of go, wow, for me, it was just an amazing discovery. And so we spent 7 years in Hong Kong, visiting different parts of Asia. We went to Vietnam, Japan, China, Singapore, just basically all over. And I guess early in our stay in Hong Kong, we did discover Thailand and Phuket in particular. And it was just an eye-opener. It was like, wow, this place is amazing.
These expat communities in Asia, that's how we would have originally met, playing hockey in Hong Kong. And just one sec, before we fix that, can you see the fan? Patolom, move. Yeah, because I can hear it. It's like blowing into your mic.
You can turn it off.
You turn it off?
Yeah.
Okay, turn it off. Actually, we'll be okay.
I'm fine.
Test. Yeah, turn that off. And then when we're doing it, try to talk. Don't talk to the camera.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be better. Okay, I'll tell them we just fixed it. Yeah, I can hear the mic like.
Okay.
And then if anyone listens on Spotify or audio, it's going to be annoying. We'll hear the birds, but I think the birds are okay.
Is fine. That's part of the...
We're good? We don't have to clap, no? He'll just cut there. Okay, one sec. Sorry, we're back. We're just moving the fan because there was a bit of a strange noise in the background, especially if you're listening only on audio. So we were discussing, we met, I don't know which year that was. It could have been 14 or 15. But obviously, if I left in 16, it's got to be somewhere around there.
15.
So you weren't in Hong Kong that long by the point we met. You're there 2-3 years. Yeah. What was that experience, especially with that expat community living in Hong Kong?
Yeah, once again, it's kind of surreal. Growing up in North America, spending time in Europe, you get to Asia, you're thinking, okay, what am I going to do here? Next thing you know, you find this fully developed ice hockey league. By the way, I'm Canadian, but we call it ice hockey when you move to Asia because people don't understand. And then I played a couple of years. Actually, I played with you my third year, and then Brendan and I ended up being defense partners.
Yeah.
On the
I don't think I was even there a full season. I think that was the year I left.
That was the year you left. Yeah. That's right. I think we lost you for the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was our downfall.
Yeah, that's why we lost. Right? Yeah.
Didn't have number 7 solidifying the defense.
And that was pretty much the end of my hockey career.
Oh, really?
Well, once you're in Phuket.
Career is a big word, by the way.
Yeah. I think I played in Bangkok a bit, but that was my demise. That was the end of that.
So yeah, but being an expat in Hong Kong was amazing. I mean, it's just such a different world. First of all, things are very convenient. Whether it's in Hong Kong, getting around from the beach to your house to the center of town, it's like 10 minutes everywhere. Cross over to the hockey rink, it's another 15 minutes. It's just, and everything's sort of set up for the expats. Even friends who are married with children there, they're still able to go out all the time because they all have maids and helpers that they employ, which you don't have really in the West. So it's a different world. The
flow of Hong Kong, it's a very busy city, but it doesn't feel congested. It doesn't feel like that long to get to any specific point when you're going around the islands.
Yeah, the other amazing thing about Hong Kong is just how green and mountainous it is. I think people who haven't been there expect a concrete jungle, and you go there and you're going, wow, I didn't expect this. And I found that in a lot of places. When I went to Taiwan for the first time, I could not believe how big the mountains were in Taiwan. Didn't even cross my mind. So, and these are things you discover just traveling around.
I was in Taiwan up the Jade Mountain.
Okay, I've only ever been in Taipei, so I've only seen it in the plane and from a distance, but pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it's Asia. I think people are pleasantly surprised when they come here. At first, I believe, I don't know if you felt that when you first come to Asia, there's a distinct smell, and I think it's from the sewer systems. But it only takes about 6 months, and you just get used to it at a certain point.
I guess in the big cities more than anything, yeah. And also, I mean, in Hong Kong at that time, I think it's better now, but the pollution was pretty bad.
At which point did you retire and officially retire, not just from your job, but retire from Hong Kong?
I left Hong Kong in June 2019. I'd stopped working a couple months before that. It was kind of my target to retire by 55. I was fortunate enough to have children when I was in my late 30s, so they were kind of, off to university, so I didn't... and actually, no, by that time, they had both started working, so off the payroll, so to speak. So I felt like I kind of knew where I was going financially, and I thought, I kind of got what I need. Time to enjoy my life, so...
And then Phuket was it always on the radar? Was that always part of the plan?
Phuket, when we were in Hong Kong, first time we came to Phuket was May 2014. We came another couple times, and then in February 2016, we just started looking at properties. And so the first place that we saw was just finished being developed. It was right next to the golf course called Laguna. Townhome for a reasonable price, including a golf membership, and it was like, okay, I'm in. So we bought a place in 2016, so it's 9 years already.
Did you buy that off plan?
No, it was already built. We were the first owners. That development was probably 80% sold. So the place that we bought was built. They just needed then to do some extras for us. They needed to enclose the top floor because it had this huge roof terrace, which, as much as you love having a roof terrace in Hong Kong because you don't have access to that much outdoor space, you realize quickly in Thailand that, especially in Phuket where it's always 30 degrees and sunny, that the roof terrace is kind of not something you really need. Yeah. So we had that enclosed. They extended my membership from a 5-year to a 10-year, so they basically locked me in. That was it.
Yeah, I had one at Surin Beach. We had a condo there, and people, why don't you barbecue up here? I'm like, how?
Exactly.
Like, and to be honest, like most of the time you want to get out of the house too. I'd rather go to the beach where they're making me food and bringing me a drink, and you don't have to deal with that either. Because the rooftop, the sun here will just destroy everything.
It's just, it's brutal. It's harsh.
So you've purchased the place. What was the timeline, the gap between the purchase and actually leaving Hong Kong and moving here?
So that was August 2016. So I stopped working and left Hong Kong in June 2019. The plan then was to stop working, but my partner, Desiree, she was still working at the time. So the intention was, our previous home was London. We were going to go back there. I would probably spend a month in October, November, December type time frame, and then maybe 6 weeks in February, March, and then we'd just carry on with that. And of course, COVID hit, and she got put on furlough in the UK, and then was eventually made redundant from her position. So I was like, well, do you really have to go back to work, or can we not just make this work? So what we do is we spend anywhere from 4 to 6 months each year here in the dry season, like when it's winter in anywhere else we'd be, whether it's London or Canada. And so we've started from 2020 then, starting to spend 6 months a year here. And it just kind of happened. It wasn't really the plan to spend 6 months straight away, but the ultimate goal was to be winter here, summer somewhere in Northern Hemisphere, where you'd have, nice long summers, warm days, etc.
Many guests come on the podcast and have that similar experience, but whether they're going to Spain or Portugal or other places, and they all kind of bring up the same point where when you're in Phuket, everyone's flexible, you can make plans, you can go to coffee, but kind of when you go back to, let's say, the UK or Spain or other places like this, you start meeting up with friends that have a little bit more structure, the Monday 9 to 5. Do you relate to that as well when you get back to the UK and you can't just pick up the phone and see a friend because they have a bit more structure and less flexibility?
Yeah, it's, as you say, it's totally different. Here, even people who have a job, they seem to have more flexibility, and also things are just closer, so it's easier to get around. In London, you say, "Oh, let's have a coffee." They'll say, "Okay, how about a week from next Thursday, we'll meet in central London or Canary Wharf." It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to take a tube, hour and a half to meet for a coffee. It's just not going to happen, right? So, yeah, it's completely different. That's why you try to find things like, I play hockey actually in London, and that's like a Tuesday if I'm there, then I get a game of hockey, which is good, catch up with the boys. I play golf in London as well, so I just get out and go to the golf course, meet up with some, like-minded people. And Desi has kind of a network of friends that she knows that she can go to. And like this person I can meet for a walk. This person I can go to Sloane Square and have coffee, whatever. So, yeah, but it's more structured, definitely.
But then in Phuket, you have the flip side where not everyone's always here at the same time you are as well. So people kind of come and go, and sometimes it can be difficult to align each other's timelines. Does Desi also face that issue as well? Maybe the crowd, the friendship group can become a little bit smaller?
I don't think so. I think that there's enough people around that there's always a core group. And in fact, we're the ones who are in and out, because we're the ones who aren't here year round, whereas we have some friends who are here. Even a lot of the retired people, they're here year round. So I haven't found any issues with, linking up with friends. The other thing about being in Phuket, though, is that, we're both from Europe and Canada. And I mean, let's face it, people given the opportunity to go for a holiday in the sun, fly to Thailand. It's an amazing destination. So we've just had, my brother's been with us for the past 2 weeks with some trips to other parts of Asia. We've got other friends arriving on Saturday who are actually staying at a hotel around the corner. We've got other friends arriving the Saturday after that. So it can be pretty full on in terms of just your schedule with visitors. And then, there's regular things you do. We have friends that we'll always meet up with on the Friday night market in Boat Avenue. So, and I've got regular golf schedule. I've got a regular group I play with like 3 days a week. Play with Desi 2 days a week. So things are the schedules are pretty well set, and people know it.
Yeah, we hear a lot of comments where people say, well, if I retire in Phuket, I would be bored. Like, how would you wake up and structure your day? Like, what does a typical day look like for someone retired in Phuket?
Okay. For me, it varies, but the one thing that I really try to do is make sure I use my mornings, because the morning time here I find is amazing. quite often I'll go through a spell where I'll get up by 6 a.m. and I'll just do things at home. I've got a little gym upstairs. Might go and take in the sunrise from the roof terrace, and then go and do a few bits and pieces of exercise. Go downstairs, have a coffee or a ginger tea or something, and just chill a bit. And I have golf that it goes on. I now do yoga 2 or 3 times a week at 8 a.m. So that the day is pretty full. So, but a typical day will be up early, 6 o'clock, get some things going in the morning, and then maybe golf later in the day. But it's and I also cycle as well. I go out and bicycle around the island. It's a beautiful place to cycle. Bit of traffic now, so some people are a bit nervous about it. But I think if you know where you're going and go early, keep out of the main flow of traffic, it's pretty good.
Well, that time, most days in Phuket, like the 11 to 4 p.m., it's just so hot. Do you find yourself staying indoors in aircon, or are you going to lunches? Like, the longer you live here, you begin to avoid that time being, out in the sun.
Yeah, I'd say so if I don't have something structured. For instance, I have 2 of my golf groups that tee off at noon. That's just, for whatever reason, that's when these guys like to play. So I play with them. So twice a week, I'm definitely out in the sun at noon. Both of those rounds of golf, though, I'm driving a buggy. So, you're keeping out of the sun by being inside the buggy. So that's not too bad. But yeah, I think if we have a morning round, then usually early afternoon we'll be just sort of chilling indoors more than anything else.
Yeah, I think a lot of these groups and these guys running these groups, they prefer the 12 because it just breaks up the day.
Maybe.
Right?
I don't know.
Because, for myself, like I prefer to go in the morning, but you're done by 8:39 and now your whole day, what do you do?
Yeah.
Especially guys like when Norman goes, I'm like, why not 1:30? He's like, well, I don't get up till 9 and then I can golf by 1:30 and then by that time it's dinner. So kind of their day is full by throwing golf right in the middle.
No, the perfect times to golf here is 7:30, and obviously Brendan plays golf very fast, so he gets out at 6:30 and done by 9.
I'm not playing great, but I'm just getting in and out.
But 7:30 is a great time to play. You're done by 10:30, and then I find that like 2, even 3 o'clock is great because usually it's pretty quick at that time of day.
Yeah,
and you can play around in 3.5 hours and be done when the sun's going down. It's getting a bit cooler.
Yeah, that like 2:30, 3 o'clock time.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's usually when I also try to get out there.
Yeah.
I think that 10 o'clock, even on the course when you're out there at 8:39, like the sun's coming out, like you got to throw some lotion on.
Oh yeah, first thing for me is whenever I go on the golf course here, sunscreen on the face.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, guaranteed. That's the first thing I do. I wear these sleeves now to keep my arms covered. You just sort of protect yourself a bit.
And the bucket, we're looking like
the bucket hat. Yeah.
Retired Korean women out there. No, but you have to. Recently I started the bucket hat because of Norman, but I find it just takes all the sun off your neck.
It does. Yeah.
It's a game changer there because when you're wearing the baseball caps, your neck's getting roasted.
And the back of your ears. Yeah. It's horrible.
You said your brother was here and you always have friends coming and going. When green people come to Asia, not saying that they were, new friends that have just come from Canada and they come to Asia, the cultural norms, what's accepted, what's not. Do you find sometimes you're holding their hands when you're taking them around Asia? Because it's so much, everything's so new for them to take in.
Yeah. I think so far most of the people we've had are fairly flexible. In fact, we did have my brother's friends that were here with them. They've never been to Asia, and for them it was like it was their bucket list thing. It's like, okay, we're 60 plus, we're going to do Asia once in our life, so this is it. So they did Phuket for 6 nights, flew to Saigon for 3 nights. We also went with them on that one. They then went to Hanoi, Halong Bay. They then went to Chiang Mai, and they just came back here yesterday, and now they've flown out to Hong Kong. So they've done all of it. And having done that, it's like, well, what did you think? They're going, love it. I said, so is this your only trip to Asia? Absolutely not. It's just, yes, you have to sort of help them out, get used to some things. But, it was just, we're walking along the beach. It's like, oh, I'm getting a bit thirsty. Let's pop into this bar. Plug for the Easy Bar, Bangtao Beach. Fantastic place. Yeah. 80 baht for for a bottle of Singa on the beach, beach chair, 100 baht. It's like, it's just amazing. And this is Phuket, which is meant to be the most expensive place in Thailand, right?
Yeah, it's I think the convenience in Asia is what sells it for me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like in Canada, you want to go to the gym or the grocery store, unless you're in a city downtown, you're always driving somewhere or parking. In Thailand, I mean, you walk out the door, there's 50 different 7-Elevens, so.
Yeah, I never tell someone meet you at the 7-Eleven in Phuket, because you're definitely going to be lost.
The cultural differences maybe in the lifestyle of living between Hong Kong and Phuket. Could you kind of explain what do you notice is extremely different, and maybe what are some of the similarities?
Hong Kong it's just a big, very, very busy city. And when I say busy, I'm talking about walking along the sidewalks. You get traffic jams, it's a super busy place to be. And so I think Hong Kong, you can sort of cope with it for a few months, but you need to get out kind of thing. I mean, I just can't imagine people who were stuck there for like 2 years during COVID, couldn't get out and had kids cooped up in a little shoebox apartment. It would be just terrible. So it's just super busy. And although a lot of things there are inexpensive, like you can go to local restaurants and it's quite cheap. The high-end restaurants are way more expensive than here, for instance.
Almost double.
Yeah, for sure. And also convenient things like playing golf, for instance. I can play golf here any day I want. Hong Kong, it's like I'm booking a week in advance, and I'm lucky if I can get a tee time,
It's about 5x the price.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I would say is that, I could fly from Hong Kong when I was still living, fly to Hong Kong to Phuket for a long weekend, play golf 3 times, and the money I saved just if I was going to be able to play 3 times in Hong Kong, the money I would save just on the green fees would pay for the whole weekend,
Yeah, they just don't have enough courses in the land. I mean, at the end of the day, they're very limited on availability.
Yeah,
as well.
It's a small-ish island with a territory which borders up against China, which limits what they can do. It's an amazing place, but it's packed.
In terms of activities, there's a lot of options, such as, is it Dragonback?
Oh, you mean hiking in Hong Kong?
Hiking in Hong Kong, and a lot of these islands you can go to. Did you ever get a chance to go to these more, they're not nomadic, but they're less developed islands off of central Hong Kong?
Yeah, I did. I went to Zhong Chao, and obviously people go to Lantau, where the airport is, Discovery Bay. But if you go around, you go to places like Mui Wo and, places like that, like beautiful sort of secluded beaches where, people sort of fall out of the sort of the fast pace of Hong Kong and go and live on a beach kind of thing.
Do you get a lot of expats that are living in Hong Kong? Maybe they're still working on the island, but they end up going to live on these more remote islands?
I don't know that many. I mean, there were some that I knew, but it's not, I would say most people who are there tend to stick with what they know. In fact, I just had 3 Hong Kong buddies who were here for a long weekend left on Sunday. And they've all lived there for anywhere from sort of 6 to 20 years, and they've all stayed relatively central. Yeah.
These more remote islands, I mean, they're basically fishing villages? Do they have hotels? Can you stay there? Like, how would you describe them, or are they just camping?
I don't know if there's hotels, to be honest with you. It's the funny thing about Hong Kong is it feels like a holiday destination because it's got lovely beaches and, scenic mountains and stuff, but it still feels for me very much like a business city. I mean, it's just, with the huge skyscrapers, the downtown area, which is, very, very densely populated. I think Hong Kong is more of a place where people will go for 3 nights kind of thing. I don't think anyone's going to go there for a week vacation and hang out on a hippie backpackers island in a small hotel.
Well, when you're staying, obviously you would be staying at Central at a hotel there. A lot of the extracurricular activities that are a little bit more outdoorsy, it's very difficult to get to them. Like, so for example, there's like hiking and camping, but it's almost going towards the border to China, not the new territory side, the other side. And some of those places, they can take, 8 hours of hiking. Like, you're out there from 6 a.m. to about dinner time. It's not somewhere you can just be like, yeah, I'm just going for a 2-hour hike and coming home.
Yeah. There are places you can go for shorter hikes, and that's what we used to.
Yeah.
As you said, Dragon's Back. Dragon's Back is a 3-hour hike kind of thing, and it's not far from Central. But yeah, if you go out towards Sai Kung, which is new territory, but out towards the China border, I mean, there's amazing hikes you can do. Go over to like secluded beach areas and stuff. But yeah, those are definitely longer outings for sure.
Even to the point where I know people would they'd bring a tent because they're like, I don't want to get caught out here in the dark, and they'd stay on the beach and come back. I mean, it's still quite remote out there in some of those places.
Oh, absolutely. That's the surprising thing is, as much as it's super densely populated, Hong Kong Island and Kowloon, you go out to, as you say, these places closer to the China border, and it's massive, forests and mountains and beaches, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, escaping the city and the busyness of Hong Kong and coming to Phuket, and it's been quite relaxing for the past 5-6 years. I mean, Phuket is starting to transform into a city on an island. Do you see yourself staying here? Like, what else is going on in this transformation? I mean, you're kind of in that bubble, but at which point could it become too overwhelming?
I think I'm in a different place than some of the other friends I have here. Insofar as my life is really about, just going to the beach, going to play golf, chilling out near home. I don't have any commitments, whether it's work or getting children to school. So in that sense, I'm in a bit of a different position than some of my friends who are here. If I had to drive my kids to school every day, so where I live is probably, with no traffic to the British International School, it's probably half an hour, right? The reality is that once it gets busy, it's an hour plus to get there. If you had to do that twice a day, plus come home, and all of a sudden you're driving your car around 4 hours a day, that would quickly get tiring for me. So I'm in a fortunate place in that respect. So I think it's important to say what's happened in Phuket. I mean, the area where we live, and I live quite close to you, has really become a center for a lot of people to come and live and buy places. And I think a lot of it has been driven post-COVID by the fact that Thailand welcomes Russians and Ukrainians to come here, whereas a lot of other parts of the world they can't get to. So we've got definitely a massive influx of people from largely Russia, but there's certainly Ukrainians as well, who have come here to sort of escape the political situation that they're facing at home. That's driven this island to just develop like crazy. I mean, there's so much construction going on. And as a result, that has created massive traffic issues. When you get into the peak season, you not only have all of the construction vehicles going around, which obviously are super slow because they're massive, and once they get to a red light, it takes them, 20 seconds just to get going again, and it slows everything down. And then you add to that all of the massive amounts of people who are driving cars around. I think there's a season right now where it gets jammed, and some people are making a decision this isn't for them. For me, because of what I do, I don't see that happening. I have to add, I'm also a member of 2 golf clubs here, so I've kind of got that facility. I know how to get around the island without going into the major flow of traffic. When do those
memberships expire?
Well, one of them expires in 3 years. So.
Okay.
Is it 3? Yeah, 3 years.
You got at least 3 years left.
Yeah, exactly. The other one is lifetime. So,
do you think a lot of people within your inner circle might start leaving? Do you hear any noise coming from them, especially these golfers, where they're starting to contemplate maybe moving to other places in Thailand or just leaving Thailand altogether? Some
of them without as much of a connection, as in not owning a property, definitely have made some moves. Hua Hin has been the major place they've gone to. Koh Samui is beautiful, but the reality is Koh Samui is a proper island. You cannot drive onto Koh Samui, whereas Phuket obviously has the convenience of having a major international airport, well-serviced, plus it's an island with a bridge so you can get here. But Hua Hin, which is, I think, you know better than I think it's
9 hours.
But it's a 3-hour drive from Bangkok Airport, is it?
Next year will be 2.
2.
Next year,
so
2.
That'll help too, because it's getting closer to the international airport. And I certainly know at least 3-4 people, not including yourself, who are making that decision, just can't face the traffic. I have to add too that within Phuket, where I live, driving to the airport, Blue Canyon, where I play a lot of golf, I can do it in 25 minutes to half an hour.
Especially if you time when you're going.
Yeah, and also I just know the back roads too.
Yeah.
But if someone's going from Katu or Patong, which, as you know, are further down the island, and you don't have a choice, you have to hit the main roads. I mean, they're talking, hour plus sometimes just to get to.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you're living in Rawai or Chalong,
I forget it.
The airport's 2 hours. Hua Hin's 2 hours as well. But they have an airport in Hua Hin, and there's one direct flight. It goes to Chiang Mai.
Okay.
And now they're renovating that airport where there'll be a flight to Hong Kong and Singapore. They said next year.
Yeah.
But I mean, it will happen. Maybe it's a little bit different than the Phang Nga airport. Well, they haven't even broke ground.
No.
So I mean, that airport's probably, I'm going to assume, 5 to 8 years away. And the development of that area is probably somewhere that like 8 years-ish. So kind of our plan as well, we were actually thinking to buy land in Phang Nga and just leave it there.
Okay.
And come back in 10 years. Maybe come back in 12 years when it's more developed. I think the problem is Phuket in 15 years, I can't even imagine what this place is going to look like. If they don't fix the infrastructure at least.
Yeah.
Living around in different cities and places in the world, and when you see a place like Phuket, in terms of the development, is it just too overdeveloped that they can't even fix the infrastructure? Like, for me personally, when I look at it, I'm like, how do you fix these roads? Like, what are you going to do here? Are you going to build roads on top of roads? Because that's pretty much your only option at this point.
I mean, I'm not an urban planner, so I don't know all the answers, but certainly you got to think that they need to look at expanding the capacity. I see some small things that they're doing. Like today, I drove here from the airport because I had to drop off my guests, and you could not turn right at the Talong lights, which is a notable pinch point on the island. The traffic was actually flowing very well north to south just because that right turn was shut off. So it looks like they're making Band-Aid sort of adjustments. There's obviously has to be more than that. But I like to see that they're thinking a little bit outside the box. The light at Boat Avenue, where you used to go straight through towards the police station and you could make a left turn, they didn't differentiate the lanes to allow people to make that advanced left turn. They've now changed just little changes. So they have to continue to be smart about these things and open some of the roads that will allow you to alleviate traffic problems. I know going into Boat Avenue from the Cooktonode area, there's a left-hand turn that they now open up on Fridays to alleviate some of the traffic. So there's little things that they're doing. If you look at the construction, though, they've got so many condos, flats, etc., that are being built. You just like, there's no way. This isn't going to work.
Yeah, unless they actually turn the whole Boat Avenue area, I mean, from the police station all the way to Laguna with like walkways.
Yeah, maybe.
Where we can because it's pretty dangerous to just be walking around on the roads there. You can slip up. There's, loose gravel.
Yeah.
But then you see also right across from Boat Avenue, it looks like there's a giant, you can see all the cranes there. I mean, what happens when that thing's finished?
It's huge.
How are people going to get in?
You mean the one that's behind Homa?
Yes.
That's huge.
How do you... And it's just a small road, a little entrance. How are people going to get in and out of that thing? It's going to be an absolute nightmare. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens once everything is developed, which would probably take another 2 years, I think. To really finish all these villas and condos and high rises. The villa market will be taken out. That'll be another condo.
You think villa market's going for sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I know they got the new one next to Home Pro.
Yeah. So they're going to rip that out, and that's going to be condos.
Oh, jeez.
So it's going to be condos everywhere.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I think 2 years is optimistic. I think it's more like 5 years.
5 years for everything.
Well, if you look at that Lakelands area, I mean, that's basically, they're just making flat ground right now. They haven't even started doing anything there yet, and that's going to be thousands of new units. So, yeah, it's definitely overdeveloped. I don't know. I just have to wait and see, right? I mean,
you think the nail in the coffin will be when they steal 9 holes from Laguna?
Oh.
They turn it into a 9 hole?
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
That's it. You can build buildings, but if you take my last 9 holes,
if you take 9 holes away, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, I wouldn't be, I think it'll be a fight, but I wouldn't be surprised at some point. I don't think they'll take the course out, but I think they'll try to shorten holes and take holes, and they did it at the back. I don't know if you were there then. I was there. It used to be a par 3. Where they put those condos in at the
right
end
next to my house. That's where I live. Yeah.
There's a little. Were you there for that par 3?
I know about it though, because it used to be the 9s were reversed. It used to be that was the
and they
back 9, and then they had a very long par 5 after that. Yeah, I know about it, but I wasn't there.
So I can see that starting to happen, where they just start shortening it up until they push you right off it. But again, I think the people living on the course, it would just be an uproar.
I would think so. I mean, if you've got, sort of fairway views and all of a sudden they go, oh, we're going to start to build in front of you. It's like, well, but you know what? What are you going to do? I mean, you can uproar all you want, but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, at the end of they lease the land. They own the land still. For yourself now, we are at the beginning of March. Typically, you're going home in April, May. I mean, congratulations, you're officially a grandfather now.
Normally,
so you're going to be going home a little earlier.
Normally, it's May. My daughter lives in France, so I'm going to fly back to London in 2 weeks from Friday, and then go to France and spend some time with her and her husband and grandson. And then Mom's 90 and she lives in Toronto, so I'll go beginning of April back to Toronto for a bit, spend time with her. And that's what I find is that, with family all over the world, although, Phuket's a bit of a base for 4 to 6 months, I'm traveling a fair bit, except as opposed to when I was working, it's not like I travel for 2 days and then come home. It's like you go somewhere, you stay, then you go somewhere else. So
you have your home bases all over,
yeah,
so it's not like you're living out of a suitcase here.
No, I have a place on a lake in Canada and a house in London for now. We'll see how that goes. And then this place. So.
What about the mentality of the expats that you're meeting in Phuket, even if they are from the UK, compared to people who are actually living in London when you're there? When you're having those conversations, whether it's political or just about life in general, do you notice a distinct difference in that conversation?
Well, the one thing I'd say about people here is it's funny because you live basically in a paradise, in my opinion, but people still seem to have a reason to complain all the time. It's like it's nonstop.
I think that's just the British people here.
No, it's not just Brits. It's all different nationalities. People love to complain. So I find that very funny because that's one thing I do in the morning when I wake up is also, I'll meditate frequently, but I'll just think about what do I have to be grateful for? And there's so much. So I don't think there's any reason to be negative. Of course, we have traffic problems. So the mentality of people here relative to the UK or other places, I think basically I know a lot more people here that are retired or semi-retired. So they probably have more time to think about what's going on politically than others. So they probably have more of an opinion. But yeah, I think people who I'm seeing in the UK, for instance, where I do spend time, they're just busy because they've got so much going on with families and jobs and whatever. So it's a different story.
Completely different. Obviously, a completely different lifestyle in that sense.
Yeah.
Most people here are retired, and if they even are working, I guess I work.
I work.
Everything is quite. People have that flexibility here, but that's also probably half the reason why we are here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you see yourself ever moving somewhere else outside of Phuket? Maybe not even Thailand, and it has nothing to do with the traffic. Just, hey, I'd like to maybe go spend 10 years or 5 years and live in Indonesia or Singapore or Philippines and all those places. Obviously, I probably not, or even just going to live somewhere else in Europe for obviously not for those winters, but for longer periods of time.
Yeah, to be honest, Brent, I haven't really thought about it. I can't see it being somewhere else in Asia. I really can't imagine somewhere that to me would have as much going for it as I have here. It could be Europe. The south of Europe could be an option wintertime. The one thing we haven't mentioned is that in Phuket, in Thailand in general, the healthcare is fantastic, like world-class healthcare. They have doctors who are amazing. So that's not a concern. But there might be a time as I get into my 80s when I start to think, you know what, maybe having like a national health plan, whether that's living in Canada, whether that's living somewhere in Europe. Desiree, my partner, is European, so that could be a case. But I would think it's more along those lines. But at the end of the day, I could probably also just pay someone to take care of me here.
Or even being closer to your kids as well.
Being closer to the kids, yeah. That's
let
one.
let them deal with you.
I'm hoping not to put that burden on them.
Well, I mean, if you were to compare the healthcare in Phuket to the NHS in the UK, I mean, what are you got to be careful what you're saying because you still got to go back there.
Yeah.
This is black and white.
So first of all, everything that I have here is private. Like if I go to the hospital, it's Bangkok International Hospital, Phuket, which is like, it's like you're stepping into a hotel, right? So, but it's all private. So I'm paying for it, or else I have some level of private healthcare that pays for it, right? Whereas obviously in London or in the UK, NHS, I mean, personally, I have never had any issues with the NHS insofar as, you know, they will send me a message because they want me to do a screen for this or that or different sorts of things. If I've ever had an issue, I needed to see the doctor, I've been able to do it. I haven't had any major health issues, knock on wood, so I probably haven't tested it fully. But definitely the availability of healthcare, because it's private here, is better. If I want to go to see my cardiologist, who is, you know, a graduate of a medical school in Thailand, but did her specialization at the University of Michigan, I can go and see her anytime I want to. And, you know, it's quite reasonably priced, so it's great.
The hospitals are great. I mean, you can pretty much, I remember doing a video call with my mom, and I'm like, try to guess where I am. She's like, you're at a 5-star resort. I'm like, no, I'm at the hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
And I went in there, I had an ear problem. It was just a weird ringing. In 20 minutes, I saw an ear specialist.
Yeah.
Imagine getting that back home, or even in Canada. You might be on a 6-month wait list.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't too bad. It was maybe 5,000-6,000 baht, something like that. As you're getting older, because healthcare is privatized here, these premiums are going up. Now, at this age and without any major health issues, the price is reasonable. But obviously, we probably know mutual friends that are older here, and they've had a heart attack, let's say, and now their premium's up. And I know for a fact they're paying $15,000 to $20,000 per year.
Yeah, for sure.
Explain these disadvantages of being privatized on healthcare in Thailand. Like, if you had a major health issue, what's that premium going to be next year?
Absolutely. That is the issue, is the premiums ultimately. And that might be what forces someone like myself over 80 to rethink my strategy, is that, you know, that I don't have the money to spend for the private health care.
You might, over 80, you might end up paying, and especially by that time with inflation, you might be paying $20,000-$30,000 a year just to continue your coverage.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
I think you have to plan for that. You have to sort of, you know, keep money aside. Like I have pension planned, I have investments and things like that. I've also got a couple properties that eventually I will sell and put that money aside. So you have to be planning for that. But there might be a point in time when it just doesn't make sense to be paying those premiums. I mean, ultimately, then you go back to a country where you rely on their national health service. But, you know, I paid into it for X number of years in the UK, so I guess I'm entitled to that.
Yeah, it's even for Thais as well. Like, talking to my girlfriend about that, I'm like, so she doesn't have health coverage, and we're going to run everything. We'll have health coverage. Even her mom doesn't have it. I said, right. So what happens if she gets sick? I'm like, this sounds like it's going to be my problem. I'm like, so do I need to go get her health coverage? Yeah. Because I asked I'm like, so if your mom has a heart attack and goes to the hospital and she can't afford to have it, what happens here? Like, oh, they die. That doesn't happen in Canada.
It does not.
Right.
Well, not in Canada.
So this becomes a major concern, because if you don't have health care, health coverage at that point, and her mother was to have a heart attack, they might be knocking on my door for $1 million baht.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, how do you start to cover the family here? Because even Thai public health coverage, it's not that robust. Yeah, it can cover, a broken arm here or the sniffles, but anything major like a cancer and you're not covered, it's pretty much game over here.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that closely. We actually went to a charity event about a month ago, which was to get a new cancer facility in the public hospital in Phuket. So I'm hoping that they're addressing that that's definitely for local people. It's not for foreigners. I mean, we pay our own way, right? I don't know what exactly the local people have in terms of coverage. I mean, clearly, as an expat, as a retired person in Thailand, I have no access to that coverage, and I wouldn't expect to either. You know, got to pay your way. You got to have your medical coverage. And I have to say, I laugh sometimes because we sometimes will. Right now, I'm just on a tourist visa because I'm here for a shorter period. Quite often, we'll have a retirement visa for a year or 2 years. You see these forms, and to get the retirement visa, you have to show proof of X amount of health coverage. And the number of people on these forums going, "Oh, that's why don't I need health coverage?" It's like because you're in a foreign country and they don't want to have to, take care of you.
And if anything goes wrong, they won't. They will just, okay.
Exactly.
And now they have to, they're dealing with your country and your embassy. It's a nightmare. I get it. It makes sense. Yeah. Okay, well, we're right before we wrap it up on that positive note, but I think it's important for people, especially if you're looking to move to Thailand long term. I think everyone does forget about the healthcare coverage, and depending on what age you're at, minimum if you're probably 60 years old, I would assume you're probably getting close to $5,000 a year, and that's without health issues. My age is probably closer to $3,000 per year for the premium packages, which, to be honest, that's what you want
for full coverage. I mean. It depends how long people are coming here for. If you're coming here for 2 months and, you're a resident of UK, Canada, whatever, then you can get travel coverage, which basically will cover you for up to like $5 million normally, $5 million US. But the way they keep that cheaper is that what they're doing is if you have anything serious, they're basically repatriating you to your country of origin, at which point your national health coverage takes the burden of whatever you're being covered for. So they'll fix the broken arm. They'll do emergency stuff if you're in a major accident. But if you get diagnosed with something like, I don't know, cancer, then you're getting shipped straight back to the UK. They're not going to mess with it here. So. Yeah,
and when you are living here long term, that's my biggest fear. It's like if I had a cancer, I wouldn't even want to go back home.
Right.
You're going to have to pick your poison here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something we're all going through, especially on the healthcare coverage stuff. I think it's as you get, when you're younger, you're kind of just, I don't care. But now I'm starting to think about it more and more. It can become a serious issue. So we're planning to do it all in Hua Hin. So knock on wood, get me to Hua Hin first. I'll deal with it there.
Can't be too early to think about healthcare and to think about saving for your retirement. So that's the message.
Yeah, well, Bitcoin or throw me in the grave.
Save money. Yeah, some people would say don't bother buy a house, just put everything into Bitcoin. But that's not my philosophy.
No. I tried to explain to my dad. That's another topic. Okay. We're going to wrap that up. It's a big thanks to Kelly coming on the podcast. He's helping us hammer out the last 20 episodes before we get out of here. And we'll probably not be filming in Hua Hin until later in December. So hopefully we'll see you out there at the golf course after the 9 holes are gone. You got to come move up there. We got plenty of holes for you up in Hua Hin. Big thanks for you coming on. And we're just going to wrap that up right there. So thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave some comments. So when Kelly is up in Hua Hin, we'll answer all those. Okay. And Cheers. We're out.